It's very good that relationships carry over from previous chapters. Very good indeed. Hello everyone, my name is FlareBlitzed here, and we have returned back to the letter where today we're going to start off playing as Zachery. Not always in the case where it's going to be everyone's sort of portion of their view of the story, because even though some things were encountered as Hannah contradicted across Isabella's time, I do believe that relationships always pass from each thing to the next. Faint but light and warm, a reminder of what is home. Past stern but commending gaze, Mars' tender smiles with sunlight filtering through the eaves in the morning, and the distant smell of cinnamon and vanilla as it drafts through the air every time something cooks from the room. The room, our room, Ma and Pa's pride of joy. My sister and I too eventually, but we ain't allowed there, not yet. Not until we're taller or older. Not until we've learned how to take care of ourselves and not burn our hands, or reach the cupboards without having to be lifted. But a little peek wouldn't hurt, yeah? The floorboards are cold under my feet more than it usually is, the walls more forbidding than what I'm used to. Further and further the room goes. Ma's scene ceases and Pa, no, please wait. I'll be good. I'll sleep on time. Don't go. I can't hear Pa. Oh, not above the ruckus cleaning and the deafening roar of gunshots, nor the screams replacing the comforting soft melodies. There is only the blinding fear. When my foot slips, the red sea that catches me is bitter and frigid. But the blood that drips in my hand is warm. 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 It ain't my blood. The walls tumble and everything goes quiet. It takes a few moments for everything to fall into place, for my eyes to adjust to the relative darkness of the room. Despite the pleasant chill of the AC air conditioner brings, my shirt is clinging tightly to me, and my blanket a tangled mess around my throat. Morning has not even arrived yet, and yet. Way too early for this, man. And too long. Too long since the last I've woken up drenched my own sweat. Head littered with thoughts that are gone as soon as my eyes open. All too often. Only imprints and brief images are left to haunt me for the rest of the day, or until my mind forgets about it. Egad, whichever comes first. Yet vivid or not, what little I can remember does not matter. Regardless, the desperation sticks, clawing up, pushing, urging to relieve every moment, every sensation, and there's a twinkle in Ma's eye when she looks up from her work, flour dusting her nose and cheeks. The scent of freshly baked bread wafts from the oven as soon as Pa opens it, and the homely fragrance of honey fills the room. He reaches up to wipe the small beads of sweat away from his forehead before gesturing for me to come closer the moment he spots me on my little hiding place behind the door. I expected him to be angry, but his pat on my back when I come within his arm's reach is encouraging enough. We'll have to taste these first before we put it up for sale tomorrow. You up for it, little man? Is it good enough? A knock cuts through the air before I can answer. Sharp, heavy, demanding, familiar. So distantly familiar. Ma ushers me out of the kitchen when Pa moves to answer it. But I know what waits outside. The taste of blood in my mouth sends an unpleasant churning in my gut. Ma's apron cringles under my tight grip. Something snaps back into place. My bed remains in utter disarray. The walls still need a new paint job, and a wall clock ticking opposite my bed is as unsettling as ever. Ash is right. I should have already replaced that when I had the chance. You're no longer there, Zachery. Here and there are miles apart. Calm down, breathe. The pressure of my own fingers against my temple is a welcome sensation over the anxiety gripping me. It never really did anything to stave off the headache sure to follow after this before, but it grounds me, a little reminder that I am safe, away from the place I once called home, from Ma and Pa's. The urgency with each rap that follows finally chases away the ghost threatening to hang around. Why anyone thinks it's a good idea to knock at someone else's door this late confuses me. Nana would chase them all away with a broom if she was here. But no matter, it's a welcome break from the thought about to take a morbid turn if left flustering. It's probably just Ash away, looking for a place to crash. Wonders why he's bothering for courtesy when he never did so before. Even with that hunch, though, habit compels me to check who it is first through the peephole. Better safe than sorry, they say. Except the person that greets me on the other side ain't him. Unless his hair grew longer overnight and start wearing ponytail, of course, which I highly doubt will happen anytime soon, no matter how funny that looks in my head. I'll waste no time opening the latches. Isabelle, it's late. There's something I can't quite pinpoint in her eyes when she looks up. Her face a plaid shade, shoulders tense, breathing heavy, and an uncontrollable shaking in her hands she's trying to hide, if I didn't know any better. Hey Zach, sorry I know it's weird for me to show up at this hour, but you were the closest to my office and... No, it's perfectly fine. Okay, so this must be after Isabelle managed to succeed in escaping that ghost. No, it's perfectly fine. I'm not really working on anything right now. Do you want to come in? Is it alright? I know you should be sleeping at this hour, but I'm sorry, I just thought, I have no idea why I went here. My feet just moved on its own after I got out of the office, and sorry. She trails off, her voice lost in the muggy night air. I wait for her to say more, but instead, her only response is a downward shift on her gaze, back to her still trembling hands as if emotion alone is enough for an expression. A minuscule gesture, easy to miss if one's not paying attention, but for someone who has seen the same expression on the mirror, done the same thing too many times, where night terrors are inevitable, it is not. Hey, don't worry about it, at least you knocked. Ash just barges in and crashes on the couch when he feels like it. I swear that guy is one fine hair away alive from being a criminal. Besides, you ought to know you can count on me whenever. Without waiting for her to answer, I step away from the door and shunt over the kitchen-eat. For a few good seconds, only the clinking of her plates can be heard above the constant tick-tock. Late as it may be for a snack, the familiar motions kept me occupied, steering my mind away from dangerous thoughts. Isabelle's company is not unwelcome either. Whatever her reasons for showing up here at such an hour doesn't matter. I'll be damned if I just turn her away, frazzled as she is. The door clicks shut behind her when she finally enters, feet scuffling softly against the tiled floor. In all the years I've known her, she has never once lost her ever upbeat spirit. Yet in this particular moment, as she stands in my doorway, holding her arms close to herself, it's as if I'm looking at someone completely withdrawn from the person I've come to know all these years. Yeah, so this is taking place after she worked at the office after Rose's lost to the world, let's just say. And after the events which happened in the office, Isabelle came here for a place of comfort. It's as if I'm looking at someone completely known for all these years. Do you want a drink or eat anything? I haven't restocked my food stash yet, so ingredients may be a bit limited, but I'm sure I can whip something up with what I have here. Just water will do, please. Thanks, Satch. What? No additional food requests? That's due. I'll put something together for you anyway. And feel free to make yourself at home. You aren't exactly a new visitor here, although my room's not as its most presentable right now, sorry. New freelance gigs and such. Don't have the time to fix things up here lately. It's okay, I don't mind. Usually she had something more to say about it. a gulp, a witty remark to provoke a laughter or two. Nothing from her this time. Only a weak smile before she takes a seat on the couch, and a silence that stretches out until what we were left hanging feels escorting. Before everything turns safely and awkward, I continue talking, if only to keep the dead air at bay. How's one supposed to keep a conversation going when the person you're talking to is like this? Anyway, gags. Can you believe this one client we got? Boss had all my scheduled shots shifted as after they caught wind of this couple buying a new property. Man, must be nice to have all that money in the world. The world itself moves for you, huh? She curled up on one side of the couch and hugging her knees close when I bring the tray carrying the sandwiches after the water she requested. She starts to straighten up as I'm unloading the contents, but pauses as soon as I hold my hand in a holding gesture. You're a guest. Didn't I say you're free to make yourself at home? Here's your water. Careful. The tremor in her hands, though lighter now, still hasn't subsided when she reaches out for the glass. I give her a questioning look, but she is quick to avert her eyes, keeping herself occupied by taking small gulps of water. Or maybe she doesn't want me asking questions. Worrying. This sudden loss for words, this bout of quiet not normally present in our chats. Even the creaking of the old chair when I casually take a seat is a welcome break. Although the company's familiar, this has gone way past unnerving. What happened? Overtime at work? She doesn't answer immediately. Another gulp drains her glass of its remaining contents. One would think that it would be enough to help her recover, yet she doesn't lose her taut grip on the glass as she cradles it on her lap. Her eyes take an unfocused gaze when she speaks again. Yeah. Boss handed me extra work today, after what happened to Rose. Rose. Why do I feel like you've mentioned her before? Sorry, I'm better remembering faces than names. She was my co-worker. That would take some getting used to. I was just talking to her the other day. Was. Did she resign or something? I think I'm missing a few details here, Bella. You've never met her? I think I did mention her once or twice. It doesn't matter, you probably heard her name recently from the news and me. Something clicks then. A little memory from the night before. The bright red light from the dark room. The strong odour of stopped bath. The television's blurry audible murmur in the background. And a glimpse of a bloody room. The news is everywhere, even in the morning that follows. I just didn't think its effects would strike someone this close to me. Oh damn, I didn't mean to bring that up. No, like I said, it'll take some getting used to, but it'll get better, I hope I will. Things might become a little busier for me though. She left a lot of things unfinished, and I'm one of the few people in the office who knows how she works. Boss thinks the transition would be easier if I handle it. Ah, that explains it. Well, just don't forget you still need rest. Even the most hard-working people I know don't keep hours as late as this. Hell, the subway stopped running hours ago. Crime rates might be lower here than most places, but that doesn't mean you can walk around free in the middle of the night. It's just for today. Still a good thing you dropped here by here first. I'm not just about to let you walk out of there alone, especially not in the middle of the night. Who knows what could happen? I'm not saying you should go right now, but I could accompany you home if you... No, wait, please. The vehement tension in her voice makes me pause, and it is in this instance the mask she's been keeping up falls apart, if only for a short while. Right then and there I understood what's hiding behind her unfocused stare from the moment she arrived. Fear. Pure, unaltered fear. It's disturbing to see such mirroring her usual upbeat countenance. With a sigh, I cross the small difference separating us and knee in front of her. She doesn't flinch when I do so. However, the way she appears to make herself smaller against the couch is telling enough. Bella, this ain't just about your co-worker, is it? What is this really about? I'm all ears. The sound of glass shattering rents through the air as soon as her hold onto it loosens. In a span of a few seconds, her breathing grows laboured. I don't know anymore. She claps her hands over her ears, pressing it tightly against the sides of her head. Her voice grows weaker with each word, each plea coming out of her mouth. Please, please, don't be alone. Don't leave me alone. I don't want to be alone right now. I can't shake it off. Everywhere's not safe and... Alright, Isabelle, look at me, look at me. My hands are firm on her shoulder when I pull her up to look at me. It takes every force of will to ignore the terror in her eyes in favour of taking control of the situation. Too close, too similar. Breathe, you're safe here. Inhale, hold, exhale. Stay in the present. I'm here. No one's going to hurt you. Do you want to talk about it? The force with which she shakes her head is enough reason to drop the topic altogether. No more, please. No more. I don't want to remember anymore. Okay, no more talking. I won't ask anymore. Can I get you anything? Another glass of water? I think I have a tub of that ice cream that you love so much. We're going to have to clean this mess first. Will you be fine on your own for a little while? She nods lightly before retreating into herself again. No more words are exchanged after that, and I take that as my cue to start cleaning the shards littered to the floor before either one of us get hurt. The quiet hum of the AC is a pleasant distraction as I go over the menial task. More so than her ragged draws of breath or my little feeble attempts to tell a quick story or two, but the latter does the trick. And soon enough she is already drafted off by the time I return with a promised glass of water, her chest raising and falling in a steady rhythm, the strain of her shoulders gone. Frankly, I've never seen her this still. She mumbles something I don't quite catch when I carry her to the empty bed, and hugs herself tighter against the mess of blankets. In spite of the fact that she appears relaxed, the small frown on her face hasn't quite disappeared. Whatever happened to her won't be leaving her anytime soon, but for her sake, I hope it won't stay long with her. Common root. Yeah, this must have had a knocked-on effect from Isabella's root. But how do I make this decision? I don't know. It seems the more that time goes on, the more fixed paths will become. This one goes on here. Or maybe if we would choose the option of meet with the client that Ash has, then maybe that would have contradicted towards Zachery actually having this path taken rather than this one taken. Story update, common root, story update, this. It all leads to the same destination. That all did load up. Ah, so there's two different endings to this one. That's your three. One here, another one here, another one up here. Is it truly fixed though? Quick time event there. Many different... Bloody heck, look at that! There's this line, yes, that's long enough. But then look at this line, up here. Wait. Yeah, this one here. Look at how much story you bypass if you take that top line. That is a lot of content removed if you simply choose the wrong choices. But then again, there's this one down here. Honestly. Golly. There's two huge jumps. Bloody heck, this game gets more amazing as we go along. Because no matter what promises I've made, this is the kind of fear no person could shield her from. I should know. I can press enter to... Okay. But the late hour coupled with the southern exhaustion makes my old cot a more comfortable bed than it typically is. I didn't actually know that I could actually press enter to proceed through dialogue. A frightened Isabelle Santos knocked at Zachery Steady's door apartment in the middle of the night. Help me text her. Shaken, she refused to say what happened. Zachery let her stay regardless. Darkness immediately welcomes me as soon as my head hits my makeshift pillow. I can only wish the dreams would keep at a distance for now, for both of us. October the 25th, Tuesday. The first few notes, while muffled, are enough to wake me. In the end, it became one of those nights where sleep passes like a blink and it is plagued with vague fuzzy thoughts. I lift the head to rub away the drowsiness from my eyes, although it does little to relieve the gritty, burning sensation from my eyelids. Outside, the sun has yet to peek over the horizon, but night has already given way to the cool morning light, washing everything in subtle grey hues. At this hour, the entire city remains unstirring. Ordinarily, waking up before my own alarm means abusing the snooze button twice or thrice just to catch those precious few extra minutes of sleep. But the persistent reading makes me impossible now. This better be good. Groggily, I scramble for the bag sitting in front of the bed. The reading still hasn't stopped even as I fish out the phone, and Ashton's name flashes brightly on the screen when I turn it on. Must be pretty urgent if he hasn't dropped the call yet. Took you long enough, Z-Man. Ashton, it's 6 in the morning. The sun hasn't even risen. Hell, my brain ain't even awake yet. And stop calling me Z-Man. It's 20 past 6, Zach. You're the one to talk. Give me back my 5 extra minutes, Ash. I want my sleep. Hey, don't make fun of me. I can be a morning person too if I want to. What's this all really about? You don't usually make calls around this hour, sorry. Isabelle ending today? Sorry about that. Becca rang up a few minutes ago looking for Isabelle. She said she doesn't show up in her own apartment last night. We both tried calling, but her phone seems to be off. Do you really have any idea where? I should have known you two would come looking for her first thing in the morning. Not a laughing man. Not a laughing matter, Zach. You can't really let your guard down with everything that's happened here recently. You've heard about the Cooper woman from the news. Everyone in the predent has been restless ever since the incident the other day. So yeah, I get what you mean. Listen, Ash, about Bella. I let my voice trail off, unsure on how to go about recounting last night. If I should even say anything to him, he might be a close friend, but at the end of the day, whatever's bothering her ain't mine to speak of in the first place. On the bed, Isabelle remains as still as when I transferred her the night before. Sometime during her sleep, she pulls up a blanket over herself and tucked into it comfortably. Like this, it's easy to forget the horror in her eyes, or how much her hands and lips trembled. Save from her firm grip on the edge of the covers, she appears nearly as normal as she would any other day. Almost. I'm not really sure how to go about this whole being. Zach, what about her? Something, for worry, for concern, must have surfaced in my tone because his own shifts in. Carefully, as if he is preparing for the worst. Look, you don't have to worry about her. She's with me right now, since last night, in fact. Oh, why didn't you just say this so earlier? She kind of knocked in the middle of the night. I couldn't wake you two over that. And with how things are when she arrived, I thought it'd be best if I let her rest first. I just wasn't expecting people would be looking for her before the rooster even crows. You could have at least called or something. Becca's beside herself with worry when she found her out. You know how much she frets about the smallest stuff. I know, I'm sorry. That was a lapse on my part. I just didn't think. Okay, you know what? Rebecca's worries aren't completely baseless. Isabelle hasn't been her usual self since the movie. Maybe even before that. I don't know if I should be opening my mouth about this, but Bella didn't outright say I shouldn't so something's wrong then. I'm not quite sure, to be completely honest. I can't get the story out of her, really. I thought you'd have learned something from me by now. That's not it. Ash, when she appeared at my doorstep last night, she was shaking. And when I tried to ask her about it, she just panicked. Had this frightened look on her face. I'd be surprised if this was the first time I've seen it, but it ain't, dude. The first time she was screaming. First time, when was this? You aren't talking about the thing in the movie house, are you? Because that was just us fooling around. Granted, I think I went overboard with a joke, but no, it happened the day after. When she invited us to lunch, you weren't there. We were walking 1 second and then next she's crying out. I'll be straight with you. That scared me blankless. It bothered him, if the way he falls silent after his telling. But whatever his opinion is, stays absent from his voice when he speaks again. He's always been good with that, hiding what he thinks. Did she say anything else? Nothing. Won't tell me anything aside from a few vague words. I don't want to push it. Where is she? Is she still sleeping? Right here with me, still sleeping. Should I wake her up or something? Let her know you guys are looking for her. No need, let her rest. I'll drop in by a few. Today, don't you have work at this time? I mean, I could drop her off home by myself before meeting my client later. Look who's talking. My schedule's flexible, Ash. Last time I checked, you're the one who didn't have that luxury. How on earth do you think I'll be able to tag along when you need me? It's not completely out of the way. They live on the other side of town from you. Ash, you're definitely out of the way. Is a little screwed up, you know. It's fine. I have some things I need to do anyway. I'll call you back. I've got to let Becca know that Scaredy Cat's fine. Bye. He drops the call before I could even get a word in, and for several minutes after, I found myself simply listening as the rest of Luxbourne roses. The increasing sound of passing traffic, and let's see what's new. Come morning, Zachery receives a phone call from Ashton, who is looking for Isabelle. Zachery informed him that she stayed over and of the circumstances before ending the call. Ashton offered to pick her, excuse me, another burp up. Burps keep coming and going today, unfortunately. Not the most soothing sounds to hear following a troubled night, but routine puts me at ease nonetheless. What's comforting, what's safe, what I'm used to. Nearby, Isabelle shifts but doesn't wake up, blissfully unaware as the city slowly stirs itself back to life. Was her night as restless as one I had? Were her dreams as lucid? In hushed moments like this, I envy her. Unreasonable, probably a little unfair, to say such in light of last night. If only forgetting is as easy as breathing. Whoa, I thought that was me making a noise then. A small yawn escapes me when I rose from the couch to stretch. Luckily, the short conversation with Ash has effectively driven away any will to go back to bed. I still have a day to get through, despite the proverbial ghosts hanging around. The orange bottle sitting at the edge of my table is reassuring against my palm the instant I pick it up. The sterile odour of the capsules especially so. Yet the way they carry is something I've never gotten used to. Years ago, I spent minutes, heck even hours staring at a single pill prior to taking one in. Now it's just routine, a way to stave off the unwanted nightly visits. Although I don't think Dr. Narviel will be quite pleased if he ever finds out I'm relying on them again. I do owe him a visit regardless, especially after missing our appointments on purpose and ignoring his calls for weeks. Another sigh comes out, tired and weary, and then I pop the tablet into my mouth. Zach, what time is it? The bottle of my hand hits the table with more force than necessary. As much as I trust my friends, there are some things I'd rather keep to myself. Morning, Bella. Did you sleep well? She answers the question with a long, drawn-out yawn, one reminiscent of a child. A chuckle manages to come out of her mouth at the sight. In this minute, it's easy to mistake her for someone too young for the responsibilities. Inexperienced and immature, even. Easy to forget she was thrust into the role of an adult earlier than her own dreams can afford, to overlook how surprisingly observant she can be at times. Maybe not on the same level Ash exercises on his investigations, or Rebecca needs for her own work. But it's certainly enough to definitely put what she sees around her on canvas. And if the way her eyes flicker to the table and my hands say something, it is that I won't be able to avoid the questions this time. Only a little. I don't remember how I ended up on the bed, though. My doing. He didn't look very comfortable sleeping on the couch, all hunched up like that. It would have been enough for something temporary. Sorry I stole your bed. Hey, it doesn't matter. Besides, what kind of gentleman would I be if I leave a lady sleeping in such uncomfortable conditions? Not in this house. My nana would have given me a tough scolding if I ever did that, I'm telling you. Thanks a lot, Zach. I know I barged in at a very inconvenient time last night. I wasn't really thinking when I did that, and hey, it's cool, but I ain't mad at you. That's what friends do. You guys are welcome here any time. Although Ashton abuses the anytime part a lot, I don't really mind. We might have less wiggle room if all four of us are present considering the size of this place, but as long as no one makes anything explode, it's totally fine. Fine or not, I still owe you one for last night's trouble, especially since you don't seem to be. A concerned expression passes over her features as she spares another curiously glance over the table, backed by a bottle holding every small piece of what keeps bad memories at bay. The blood blooming over Pa's heart, the horrified look on Mom's face as she watched him fall lifeless to the ground, and every ounce of spite seeping from the stranger's smile. You don't belong here. You monkeys don't belong here. It never stops, doesn't it? What, you don't seem to be feeling well? Let me know, okay? I'll make it up to you somehow. She makes a slight gesture with her head towards the bottle, asking a question without really asking. Subtlety has never been one of her greatest assets, but right now even Ash would have been a little amazed, if not at loss for words, at that. She has left it up to me whether I'll ever give her the response she wants to hear or not. Play it off would be better in this situation. I think that drops a little bit, but that's okay. Oh, what? This? The pills rattle against the container when I shake it casually in front of her. Don't want this being read all the time. They're nothing to worry about. They're just vitamins. Vitamins, Bella. You know, the usual maintenance stuff. Can't be too careful these days, especially with how erratic the weather has been lately. Actually, I did come down with something last week. Forgot to tell you guys about it. Got me a little worried I wouldn't be able to make it to my own movie premiere. Good thing the virus or whatever it is left days before we're supposed to meet her. Although I think it's decided to come back for another round. Zach, you aren't really sick, are you? Well, there goes that excuse. You're the nicest guy I know around, but you're an even worse liar than I am. I understand it's not a habit, but even I can tell when something's bothering you. You have no idea how many times I've been told that. She shifts her attention to her hands, her fingers clasped firmly together at the hem of her shirt. Instead of the usual grin I'm expecting from her, she draws a frown, her lips pressing tightly together in a slight grimace. Seems like she wants to ask more, beyond what I'm willing to tell, but simply can't phrase it. I can't tell her this certain inquisitive, curious nature has been part of her from the start, or she has merely spent too much time around Rebecca and Ash. When she looks up, however, the question doesn't come. There's only a smile too reassuring to be genuine on her face. Can you tell me one thing at least? About this? And that thing when we ate lunch the other day. It isn't just about what happened to your movie now anyway, is it? No, it ain't. That was never in the first place. Just a simple statement of a fact. This much I can answer with all honesty. She nods, then her conflicted expression melting into something more pensive. This is her concession, sorry. I understand. I'm sorry if I came off a bit pushy. I appreciate it, I really do, Bella. There are some things which are harder to talk about, even with long-time friends. I get you, or at least I think so. And I'm not going to pretend I could help and tell you it's going to be okay. I know it's never that easy. But I'm here for you if you ever need someone to listen to that. You know that, right? I can say the same thing about you. I'm here for you if you want to tell me about what happened yesterday. You were pretty shaken. A laughter, almost bitter and likely a little harsh, slips out from me. Completely unintentional on my behalf. Perhaps even medication talking, but words have already been said, the damage done, leaving only enough room for regret. Still, she doesn't flinch. Only looks a bit torn, with her mouth opening and closing in silent indecision. In the end, she settles for a deep breath, the release slow and steady as if letting out the heaviest weighting on her. When she looks at me, something, a small, unfamiliar, barely noticeable thing slips by. As for what, it's impossible for me to tell. I'll tell you. I promise, I'll tell you. But not right now. Not when I need to make sure of something first, please understand? Ever since I came here, other people, you guys, have always been helping me. You, Ash, Becca, even the job I have, I only got because my aunts helped. I don't want to repay any of that kindness by dragging other people into more trouble than necessary. I just want to try and fix this myself. I should be happy. There should be pride in that despite the problems. She has found herself a stable ground to stand on. But somehow this time, I found myself worrying instead. I'll make another attempt to get the story out of her if I can. But this is a dance I know all too well. And with her, I doubt forcing her to say something would yield any results. As much as I want to imitate Ash, there's only so much I can ask that won't result in something a little over disastrous. At best, she'll stop talking to me until a week passes. At worst, I'd rather not risk it. I've never seen her angry. Outright annoyed, maybe, and often directed at Ash, but never furious. What do they say again about happiest people when angered? Besides, it'd be unfair to her after our little chat. So, food then? She seems relieved at a brisk change of subject. Unless it's been simply waiting for its cue all this time, her stomach grumbles at a mention of food. Rather loudly, as a matter of fact. Alright, Missy, we're gonna get some chow now. Better be quick, though. Can't have your stomach starting a revolution on us here. Don't make fun of me, I'm not that hungry. Maybe a little. I didn't think I ended up skipping dinner last night. And now we have one starved stomach protesting. Sorry it'll be nothing but fancy, but since I'm a little low on stocks... I should probably drop by the grocery store after the meeting this afternoon. I can make a quick run for you if you want. Now I've got enough to put together something nice here. Maybe. I can always improvise if we're missing an ingredient too. It ain't like we're going for a Michelin 3-star status here. Or so. Didn't I say you were a guest? Is this a Filipino thing? A Philippine thing? Or just Rebecca rubbing off on you? The soft laughter that comes from her doesn't quite reach her eyes. Neither. The answer is neither. Because if she stays idle, she'll remember. On second thought, I might need a little help slicing up the potatoes when I prep the ham. You up for that? What? You think instant noodles are all I'm about? I'll have you know I can cook a mean paella with my eyes closed. All my siblings love it. Sure you can. Come on, I think I know what we'll do with the spare ingredients. Mostly quiet affair. Nice. Isabelle saw Zachery taking an unknown medicine and concerned asked what it was for. Not yet ready to reveal his painful past, Zachery paid it off, saying they're just vitamins. Isabelle didn't believe him, but didn't push the matter further. To lighten the mood, the two decided to cook breakfast afterwards. Excellent. Something to put the mind at ease. Between us, the consistent chopping or clapping of the knives against the board and a muffled noise from the television I left running were to become surprisingly difficult to string together. Not entirely unusual, we've had moments like this before, but definitely unnerving with how things are now. I really wish someone else would come knocking at the door. As pleasant as this is, breaking the ice or keeping a conversation going has never been my forte. That has always been Isabelle's or Rebecca's department. Sometimes Ash's, although most coming from him border on awkward or embarrassing. Speaking of the guy, he never did call back, and I'm willing to bet my entire year's salary that he fell right back to sleep after that call. Sorry Bella, could you? Yeah, I've got it. With potatoes almost ready, by the way. I turned down the heat just in case you might want to check on them. Hold on, I'll be right there. Sheesh, wait up. If you keep whipping at the door like that, you'll break it down. Ash? Oh, good you're awake. Ash has already welcomed himself in when I take my eyes away from the oven. He's never really been keen with the notion of courtesies after he's warmed up to you, this guy. All 13 of my locks he broke can attest to that. He's a good fellow though. Maybe a tad bit standoffish at glance, but he's trustworthy. Don't you have work today? I could ask the same of you. Hey Z-Man, you're late. Something catch up? You need to drop the Z-Man, it's getting old. Sorry, I got caught up with something at a pretense on the way here. Had to attend to that first before things got out of hand. I'll tell you about it, but you know how it can be with those kind of things. Later, maybe. And you're here because? What, I'm not allowed to say hello? I doubt you're here because of that, and you're not answering my question. Ah, my bad, forgot to mention that. He called earlier looking for you. Rebecca's worried because you didn't come home last night. You could have called my cell instead. You weren't picking up. Anyway, I'd really hate to cut this little get-together short, but I need to be somewhere else. Come on, Isabelle, let's get you home. I'll drop you off on the way. Wait, we're going now? He lightly clapped a hand on her arm and began unshivering her out of the apartment, throwing a casual wave at me as they passed by. Isabella, on the other hand, doesn't appear too fond of the idea, and sure enough, before we can even cross the threshold to put a firm foot down, the force was only enough to halt them both and catch the taller man off guard. It would have made for a funny picture, the way Ash almost crashes into her and Isabelle giving him an indulgent pat over her shoulder. Surprise and confusion are in his face all at once. Two things that rarely ever grace if he can help it. A rare moment even for our small group. If only I have my camera with me. Dang. What is it? Zach cooked something. If it's just food, I'll just grab you something on the way back. But the food, it's Zach's cooking. Real delicious food that actually tastes like food. At least stay for and have a bite, please. Zach, help me here. These two. Whenever they're in the same room, sometimes I feel like herding a group of unruly kids instead of talking to two mature adults. One moment they engage in a pleasant chit-chat, but next they're bickering over a minor issue. Frankly, if I didn't know any better and I have an overactive imagination, I'd say there's something going on. Never mind how utterly impossible that is. Or it might just be me reading too much into things like always. I can already hear Ash's laughter, if I so much as suggest such. Save. Another one. Hang on, let's see. I started off here. Yep, I started off there, so it's all good. We have not moved in a single episode. Bloody heck. I know it's been like one day and another, but we've not moved. We've had the same scenery for over an hour now. A little story. I cooked up a feast. I don't know about you two, but I think you guys should really stay. I've already made enough food for all of us, and it'd be a waste. Isabelle's relationship has improved, and Ashton, I have no idea. Why, I cooked up the special honey-glazed ham you two kept on yapping about. Got some scalped potatoes with onions and cheddar to go with it, too. The Adventine Deans. I shoot the two of them an apologetic look before sauntering over the kitchen, mittens in hand. The sweet smell of the glaze and salty tang of melted cheese wafts through the air as soon as I open the door and take out the two trays inside. The scent immediately fills the entire room, and even with the door and windows open, the mouth-watering aromas linger. It's appealing enough that when I put the dishes down on the counter, another starved stomach protests loudly, followed by a burst of laughter. My head snaps up at the two of them, and I can't even back the smile at the sight they make. Isabella's clinging to the doorframe for support, doubled over with breathless laughter. Ashes were more composed of the two, trying to look unconcerned, but a flush has crept up his neck and cheeks. It's clear whose stomach that came from, and Isabella's not going to let him live this down. You're in no place to reject an offer for free food, Frey. I wasn't rejecting anything. Damn it. I just missed a meal, that's all. Ah, he's flustered. Shut it. Those guys at a precinct said it was urgent. Somebody has to be responsible for it. Well, aren't you precious? Right, you know, if you keep laughing like that, you'll burst. I'm sure it won't be as bad as your stomach suddenly rumbling like a starved. Alright, kiddos, play nice. Food's going to get cold if we keep this up. Ash, you gonna stay? Might as well, since Scaredy Cat's so hell-bent on staying. Good. A hearty meal. We eventually settled down after the food has been served. The jib was replaced by another round of friendly chatter, mostly about what's on the news the night before. There is, however, a conscious effort to avoid mentioning what's currently on the headlines. The dead is never a good topic to talk over food in polite company, this case in particular. The wounds are too fresh, too soon. I'd likely avoid it as well if I were in her position. And someone I personally knew passed away in a gruesome manner like that. Though perhaps the closest we got to broaching the topic is when the infamous mansion is brought up again. But even then, we are careful, Ash and I. We keep the conversation light and avoid bringing up her late business partner. It's the least we can do. For right, yeah, they're planning to move in soon. In fact, they already have a housewarming party planned. It's why they wanted us to rush the papers. They wanted to send the invitations out as soon as possible. Oh, now I get it. Get what? Remember what I told you last night about the new clients? Vaguely. Sorry, I was a little out of it yesterday. Was it a photo shoot? Yes. It's actually for one you sold something. When you put it that way, I suppose it makes sense why my boss wants me to prioritize a couple. If they can have those documents rushed just at the slip of their fingers, then they're more influential than I initially thought. Man, I guess my boss is expecting a lot more from this project than I expected. Hope I can live up to it. Your photographs are more than good enough, Zach. You'd probably win an international award if you let yourself. Madame Hannah's too easy to please too, as long as you're good at following instructions. Easier said than done. Different clients have different tastes after all. Still, a week. I don't think that's possible. Now that you mention it, yeah, they wanted everything finished at the earliest. To be honest, it's not unheard of, but it's still fish. But it's still fish weird. But it still feels. Okay, but it's still fish weird. Still weird, yeah. A slip off the tongue. Still barely noticeable to someone who's already familiar with Ash's ways. Yet in this moment it's impossible to miss. I shoot him a curious glance, but he ignores it. Rather pointedly. I can't exactly say I can't exactly say it's like that. Where I'm just the middleman after all. As much as I want to comment on it, I only know what's on the surface, not the ins and outs. It's just that BRC and my boss are more hands-on with the legal stuff this time, despite having a separate department dedicated to it. Maybe Mr. Wright helped with it too. They have their own legal team for this, don't they? Well, they should have one, especially for a big property like this. They have, but like I said, it's off our hands. Rose and I don't handle this stuff in the office. If anything, to me, this just means I'll be able to send the rest of the funds for Papa's treatment earlier. I guess that makes a whole lot of sense. Officially off our instant noodle diet, are we? Ash, has anyone told you that you have an uncanny way of ruining the mood? What? I was just saying, a few more months of stuffing your face with us and I'm sure you'll start to look like a noodle cup. Oh, that's a pretty picture. At least I don't live off convenience store food or make poor unassuming pressure cooks explode. What? How did you... Oh, come on, Zach. Sorry. Sorry, it just came out while we were cooking earlier. I'm impressed, Ashton Frey. You even made it to the news. A one-time thing, and it wasn't as big as you seem to be imagining. Oh sure, let's all pretend that one time you almost set my apartment on fire didn't happen too. Hey, that was an accident. You were making a salad? How can you burn a salad, for goodness sakes? Can we please move on to a different topic? It helps for casual talk, for harmless teasing, for mundane stories interesting enough to let time pass unnoticed. By the time lunch ends, the shadows are no longer at forefront of my mind. If it's the same for Isabella, for whatever troubles her, I can never tell. These means the anxiety, the fear, they ain't easily seen, ain't easily forgotten after all. You go on ahead. I've got a few things I need to ask Zach. I'll be downstairs in a minute. Confusion briefly flashes in her eye as she catches the keys he tosses over, but he doesn't give her an answer and waits for her to go ahead. How sure are you I won't be driving away with your Shirley? You don't even have a license. Do you even know how to? Papa taught me how. I'm probably a better driver than you. See you later, Zach. Thanks for the food. Ash always has to have the last word, don't you? You're welcome. I'll send you the recipe for the potatoes tonight. A grin is back on her face when she leaves and closes the door behind her. For a little while after we left alone, Ash goes wholly quiet, listening, waiting for her remaining steps in the hall to fade. The earlier amusement is gone from its face, replaced by what I could only describe as trepidation. I know that look all too well. When he's like this, he's expecting blank about to go down at some point. That wasn't very nice, Ash. What with the whole Isabelle earlier? You usually subtler with your questions. They hired you. Hired me who? Don't change the subject yet. What's really going on here? The Wrights. Luke and Hannah Wright. You said your next gig is with them. Is that what this is about? Just be careful about them. You have no idea what you're dealing with when it comes to that couple. I'd rather you stay away as far away from them as possible. But you're already here. Isabelle's their real estate agent. Seriously, of all the people in Nuxborn. Okay, I guess I'll just have to take your word for it. He nods, claps a comforting hand on my back, and turns to leave without another word. He's never been good with those. More often he fumbles with what he wants to say, but his actions alone are enough to tell me how grateful he is for the trust. He reaches for the knob as soon as he gets to the door, but doesn't turn it. Instead he looks back and gestures with his head towards the table. I don't need to follow his line of sight to know what he's going to ask about. He's likely taken notice of it in the moment he entered the room. You back on those? I haven't seen you take them in a year. Yeah, I kinda had to. It got worse after the film fest, the Dream says. I don't think I'll be doing that again anytime soon. Heard about that. Don't drop it though, you don't want Becca scolding you. She actually enjoyed the movie you made, and she's hard to please. Consider that a small victory. You don't have to tell me, she already did. Rebecca and Bella both gave me an earful after I said the opposite. Promised them that I wouldn't, but you can never tell. Hopefully once I feel better I'll be able to think about it properly. Speaking of Bella, she didn't open up to me, but maybe with you and Rebecca. Yeah, I'll try. I can't promise anything, but I'll talk to her. Thanks. That's all I'm really asking. This time when he reaches for the door, he lets it close fully behind him without glancing back. Another thing. Ashton arrived to fetch Isabelle hours later, but she didn't want to leave after all the food they prepared. In the end, Ashton acquiesced and stayed. The Wrights and Zachery unkind gig were a few topics touched during their talk over breakfast. Let's go to the branching tree and see how far we've gone. Okay, we're right about here, and these are the choices. Play it off. Question, play it off. Yeah, this one's about the serious, this one's about being busy. And this all leads towards this, which is probably a different destination. A mild drift sweeps into the room as I close the door behind him, slightly disturbing the papers on the nearby fridge. A lone note flutters by my feet. The letters of the surface glaring at me with mute intensity. Ermengarde Mansion. H. Wright, 11 AM for luxury living. After Ashton's warning, they all hold a different meaning now. October the 22nd, 7th. not one for humming, really, to be honest. Save this one here. Let's see now. Okay, I think that's a good time to end off for now. Okay, so thank you very much for watching, guys. We're going to come back to this humming in the next time of the letter, where I don't know if we're going to see a horror when it comes with Zachery, but there is at least one quick time event, so I think we're going to be doing that. So thank you very much for watching, guys, and we shall take care of ourselves and each other. Have a good day and take care of yourselves.